The ghost beneath the temple bell. The forgotten village. In the mist-shrouded hills of Anxi Province, hidden behind layers of bamboo forests and winding dirt paths, lay the small and nearly forgotten village of Luohe. The villagers said the land was old, older than memory itself. The air was heavy with incense, smoke, and whispers of forgotten spirits. At the village's edge stood a decrepit temple, its once red paint flaked away, the stone lions at the gate eroded into shapeless forms. Few dared to visit it after dusk, for that was when the bell, though cracked and long and used, sometimes rang on its own. They said it was the voice of the lady beneath the bell. Children were told never to go near the temple at night. Those who did either came back pale and mute, or never came back at all. 2. The stranger. One autumn evening, as a storm gathered beyond the mountains, a wandering scholar named Wei Jun arrived in Luohe. He was thin and pale, his robes travel-worn, his eyes bright with curiosity. He sought quiet places to study the old texts of Taoist ritual and folklore. When he asked the villagers if there was a temple nearby where he might find lodging, the old innkeeper froze mid-breath. "You mean the Temple of the Bell, scholar?" "Yes," said Wei Jun, "the one I saw from the ridge." The innkeeper's hand trembled as he poured wine. "Don't go there. The monks left long ago. Bad things live in that place." Wei Jun smiled politely. "Ghost stories don't frighten me. I only seek a roof from the rain." That night, despite the innkeeper's pleading, Wei Jun packed his things and walked into the fog-drenched forest path leading to the temple. The moon hung above like a dull coin, half veiled by clouds. 3. The temple. The temple stood crooked and silent at the top of a mossy stairway. The doors were warped, the once sacred calligraphy faded into indecipherable streaks. The great bronze bell still hung in the courtyard. Massive, ancient, its surface dark with verdigris. A single crack ran down its side like an old wound. Wei Jun lit a lantern and stepped inside. Dust hung in the air like ash. Statues of forgotten deities stared from shadowed alcoves, their faces chipped and eyeless. But there was still an air of strange peace. He spread his bedding in a side hall and began reading by lamplight. The rain began soon after, gentle at first, then heavy, drumming against the roof tiles. At midnight, the bell rang. Just one low, hollow note. Wei Jun froze, the hair rising on his arms. He looked outside. The rope that once hung from the bell's interior was gone, torn away years ago. Yet the sound still reverberated through the valley like the moan of a dying god. He whispered to himself, perhaps the wind. But the rain had stopped. There was no wind. 4. The lady in white. The next morning, Wei Jun explored the temple grounds. Behind the bell, half buried by wild grass, he found a small mound marked by a cracked stone tablet. The inscription was nearly gone, but he could still make out the name. Yulian. The rest was worn away. That night, as the moon rose full, Wei Jun sat by his lantern reading when he heard a soft sound, like silk brushing stone. He looked up. At the doorway stood a woman. She wore a long white robe, damp and translucent with dew. Her hair was black as ink, flowing freely down her back. Her face was pale, her eyes glistening with something between sorrow and curiosity. "Forgive me," she said softly, voice trembling. "I didn't mean to startle you. I used to live here." Wei Jun blinks. "You live here?" She smiled faintly. Long ago, something about her made him uneasy, yet he couldn't turn away. She sat opposite him, gazing at the flickering light. Her presence seemed to cool the air. The smell of lotus flowers filled the room. When Wei Jun asked her name, she hesitated, then whispered, "Yulian, V, the story of Yulian." Over the following nights, the woman returned. She spoke of long-forgotten things, the days when the temple flourished, when monks prayed and villagers came bearing offerings. She told them of her life. She had been a temple servant, tending to the incense and sweeping the floors. But one night, bandits came from the mountains. They looted, burned, and killed. Yu Yan, hiding beneath the great bell, was trapped when it fell during the chaos. Her body was never retrieved. The monks buried what little remained beneath the bell's shadow. "I still hear the prayers," she whispered one night, "but no one hears me." Wei Jun, though skeptical, felt compassion. He began burning incense for her every evening, reciting quiet verses to soothe her restless spirit. Yet with each prayer, the air inside the temple grew colder. 6. The shadow beneath the bell. On the 7th night, Wei Jun woke from a dream. He had heard the bell again, louder, deeper, vibrating through his chest. The lanterns flickered, though there was no wind. He rose and went to the courtyard. The bell gleamed faintly in the moonlight, wet with dew. And beneath it, something moved. A dark shape slithered, half human, half smoke. He saw a hand, pale, bloodless, reaching out from under the bell, grasping the grass, pulling. Wei Jun stumbled back, heart pounding. The shadow vanished. The next morning, he found handprints in the dirt. He told himself it was imagination. But the marks were real, 5 long, thin fingers pressed deep into the soil. 7. The villager's secret. Disturbed, Wei Jun returned to the village and questioned the elders. Most refused to speak. Finally, the innkeeper confessed. Yulian was not just a servant, he said. She was the mistress of the abbot. When the bandits came, the monks fled, but he chained her under the bell, believing the gods would protect her. Instead, she was crushed. The temple burned, and the abbot vanished. Some say he returned years later and hanged himself where the bell stands. The old man's eyes were wet with fear. She has never forgiven the living. Every few years, someone foolish enough to stay in that temple disappears. Wei Jun felt a coldness seep into his bones. 8. Compassion. Yet despite the warnings, Wei Jun returned to the temple. He could not abandon the spirit. She awaited him that night, standing by the bell, her white robe fluttering in a wind that wasn't there. "You've learned my truth," she said quietly. "Do you despise me now?" "No," Wei Jun said. "I pity you." She looked at him with hollow eyes. "Then release me. Burn the bell. Free me from its weight." He hesitated. The bell was sacred, ancient, a relic of divine craftsmanship. To destroy it would be blasphemy. But her eyes, empty pools of grief, pleaded with him. "I only wish to rest." He promised to help her. That night, he gathered firewood around the bell and poured oil from his lamp. But as he lifted the torch, a whisper slid through the darkness. "Don't." 9. The bell speaks. The ground trembled. The bell rang, not by any visible force, but from within. The fire in Wei Jun's hand extinguished itself. The bronze glowed, faintly red, as though heated from inside. Faint faces, twisted, screaming, swam across its surface. He fell to his knees, covering his ears, but the sound was inside his skull, 1,000 voices crying out in agony. From beneath the bell came Yulian, her form shifting between flesh and mist. Her once beautiful face was now contorted, her eyes empty sockets streaming black tears. "You pity me," she hissed, voice layered with many others. "But you don't understand. The bell does not imprison me. It feeds me." She rose higher, her hair spreading like tendrils of smoke. "Every soul that prays for me becomes mine. Every kindness binds you closer." Veyun stumbled back, horrified. "You lied. I waited for someone pure," she said. "Someone whose compassion could fill what death left hollow." Her mouth twisted into a smile. "You will stay with me forever, Wei Jun. You will be my prayer." X. The night of the bell. He ran, but the temple doors slammed shut. The air grew thick. The statues wept black ichor, their stone mouths chanting in forgotten tongues. The bell tolled again, louder, each note bending the world around it. Wei Jun screamed as shadows reached for him, dragging him toward the bell. He clawed at the floor, splinters digging into his hands. The world flickered, lanterns burst, smoke filled the hall, and the last thing he saw was Yulian's face inches from his own. Her whisper crawled into his ear. "Thank you for remembering me." The bell rang one final time, then silence. 11. Aftermath. A week later, villagers found the temple quiet again. The bell no longer rang. But beside it lay a single fresh mound of earth, and in front of it, a small offering bowl filled with ashes of burnt paper and incense. A new tablet had been placed next to Yu Lian's old one. It read, Wei Jun, a kind soul. From that night onward, the bell never rang again, until one autumn storm, when travelers passing by heard it toll 3 times through the mist. Some said it was the wind. Others swore they saw a scholar and a woman in white standing beneath it, side by side, their faces serene and lifeless. 12. The true repayment. Years passed. The temple decayed further, swallowed by vines. The villagers avoided it entirely, building a new shrine farther down the mountain. But once every decade, a traveler seeking shelter would find themselves drawn to the temple. On the cracked steps, they would find fresh offerings, fruit, incense, sometimes even books wrapped in silk. And if they stayed long enough, they might hear a soft voice whisper, Don't be afraid. I'll keep you company. By morning, they were gone. Only the faint sound of the bell lingered on the wind. The villagers no longer told stories of the lady beneath the bell, because now there were 2 voices inside it. And sometimes, when the fog was thickest, one could swear the bell's echo wasn't sorrowful anymore. It was laughing,